Breaking. Prince William just made a statement so explosive about the future of Britain that Keir Starmer's own cabinet is calling it a direct challenge to government authority. The exact words William used have triggered constitutional alarms across Westminster. Senior Labour MPs are privately describing it as the most dangerous royal intervention in modern British history. And what happened in the 72 hours after William spoke could reshape the monarchy, destroy Starmer's leadership, and ignite a constitutional crisis that makes the abdication look like a minor scandal. If you want to see how this ends, hit that subscribe button right now, because the establishment doesn't want you knowing what's really happening inside Kensington Palace. Here's what sparked the firestorm. Last Tuesday at 11:47 a.m., Prince William appeared at a veterans charity event in Cardiff. His speech was supposed to focus on mental health support for former service members. Standard royal fare, non-political, carefully scripted. But witnesses say something changed when William met 73-year-old former paratrooper James Thornton. Thornton told William about losing his council housing to make room for asylum seekers. His words were devastating. The prince's face hardened. Aides nearby exchanged worried glances. But William wasn't backing down. He went completely off script instead. What he said next detonated across Britain like a political bomb. William's exact words were chilling and unmistakable. "We have a duty to those who defended this nation first, before all others." That's not politics, that's principle. And if principle no longer guides policy in Britain, then we've lost something fundamental to who we are. The room went silent. Royal protocol had just been shattered. The heir to the throne had criticised government policy in public. Within minutes, Palace Communications Director Lee Thompson was sprinting toward the stage. Too late. The damage was done. Phones were already recording. Social media was already exploding. And Keir Starmer, sitting in a budget meeting at number 10, was about to receive the worst news of his premiership. According to sources inside Downing Street, Starmer's face went white when aides showed him the clip. His chief of staff, Sue Gray, allegedly said the footage was a political nuclear bomb. The response was swift and devastating. Within 2 hours, Labour issued a statement calling William's comments deeply inappropriate and a breach of constitutional neutrality. The hammer had fallen, but what they didn't realise was that hammer was about to come crashing back down on their own heads. Meanwhile, British veterans who served in the Falklands, Iraq, Afghanistan, who sacrificed everything for this country, are sleeping rough on Britain's streets tonight. Malcolm Peters, a decorated Royal Marine, who served 3 tours in Helmand Province, was found sleeping in a doorway in Manchester last week. Frostbite had taken 2 of his toes. He survives on £87 per week in benefits while he waits 18 months for PTSD treatment from an NHS that has no capacity. His daughter posted photos online that went viral within hours. "This is how we treat heroes," she wrote. The images were heartbreaking. A man who survived Taliban ambushes couldn't survive Britain's bureaucracy. While Starmer's government spends £8 million per day housing Channel migrants in 4-star hotels with private security and full catering services, we're talking heated rooms, 3 meals daily, free medical care, and legal representation that veterans can only dream of. The Britannia Hotel in Manchester, where Malcolm sleeps in a doorway outside, houses 340 asylum seekers in rooms costing taxpayers £112 per night each. That's £38,080 per day for one building alone. Malcolm gets £12.43 per day. The contrast is so grotesque, so morally bankrupt, that even lifelong Labour supporters are questioning everything they once believed. Retired nurse Patricia Davies from Swansea posted a video that's been viewed 1.8 million times. "I voted Labour my entire life," she said, trembling with emotion. "But when princes defend our veterans better than prime ministers, something has gone terribly, catastrophically wrong." Her video sparked a movement. Within 48 hours, Number Veterans Before Migrants was trending with 3.7 million tweets. Pensioners who'd never touched social media were creating accounts just to share their outrage. But then, something unprecedented happened that nobody saw coming. King Charles, who had remained carefully neutral throughout every political storm of his reign, broke 70 years of royal protocol with a single, devastating move. At Thursday's Privy Council meeting inside Buckingham Palace, he delivered what insiders are calling the iciest rebuke in modern royal history. "The Prince of Wales spoke from his heart about those who served," Charles stated with unmistakable steel in his voice. "As his father and his king, I stand with him completely." The room froze. Privy councillors, including 3 Labour cabinet ministers, sat in stunned silence. Lord President of the Council Baroness Smith later told colleagues her hands were shaking. Charles had just publicly endorsed William's challenge to the government. Palace insiders reveal that the King's decision came after a late-night meeting with William on Wednesday. The conversation lasted over 2 hours in the King's private study. William reportedly told his father, "If we stay silent when veterans are abandoned, the monarchy becomes meaningless. We're supposed to represent something beyond politics. If we don't stand for those who stood for Britain, what are we even for?" Charles understood immediately. One palace source described the king as emotional but resolute. He said the crown has bent to government pressure for too long on issues that transcend party politics. The optics are absolutely devastating for Starmer, a prime minister who preaches compassion just got lectured on moral duty by the royal family. The same monarchy that Starmer's allies regularly dismiss as outdated and irrelevant just demonstrated more concern for British veterans than the entire Labour government. But wait, because there's another layer to this that makes it even more explosive. The BBC obtained emails from the Ministry of Defence showing that Starmer's government was warned 6 months ago that veteran suicides had reached crisis levels. 23 former service members took their own lives in January alone. The emails, sent from Defence Secretary John Healey's office to Number 10, explicitly requested emergency funding for mental health services. The response from Downing Street? Delayed pending budget review. Translation: ignored. One email from a junior minister pleaded, "We cannot let another month pass without action. These are men and women who wore our uniform." That email was dated February 14th. It's now November. No action was taken. The government that lectures everyone about compassion couldn't find compassion for soldiers who risked everything. And here's where it gets really interesting. When Prince William made his statement on Tuesday, sources say he had already been briefed on these emails by a sympathetic MOD official. William knew exactly what he was doing. This wasn't an emotional outburst. This was calculated, deliberate, and devastatingly well-informed. He had the moral high ground and the receipts to back it up. The political domino effect was immediate and catastrophic. The pound dropped 1.3% against the dollar within 24 hours as international markets registered constitutional instability. Labour's poll numbers collapsed from 39% to 31% in 3 days, their worst showing since the election. Focus groups conducted by Ipsos on Friday showed catastrophic results. In traditional Labour constituencies, 64% of voters said they were disappointed with Starmer's response to William. Among over 60 seconds, Labour's core demographic, approval dropped to just 19%. Conservative backbenchers who'd been silent suddenly found their voices. Former Defence Secretary Ben Wallace called it a watershed moment. When the future king and the current king both rebuke government policy, that's not a constitutional crisis, he said on Question Time. That's a constitutional reckoning. Hashtag Stand With William trended globally for 16 consecutive hours with over 4.2 million mentions. Hashtag Starmer Out hit number 2. Protests erupted across Britain. In Leeds, Manchester, Birmingham, and Glasgow, veterans marched carrying Union Jacks and photographs of comrades who'd taken their own lives waiting for help that never came. One banner in Liverpool read simply, "William cares. Starmer doesn't." Another in Newcastle showed a photo of Prince William next to a photo of Keir Starmer with the caption, "One serves Britain. One serves himself." The government's response only made things worse. Deputy Prime Minister Angela Rayner called the protests orchestrated disinformation. Home Secretary Yvette Cooper suggested investigating the funding sources behind veteran advocacy groups. Shadow Defence Secretary James Cartledge absolutely destroyed her on Sky News. Investigating veterans for demanding support? This government has lost its mind. Every defensive statement dug Labour deeper. They weren't just losing the argument, they were losing the country. Inside Number 10 Downing Street, the atmosphere has turned toxic beyond recognition. Ministers are openly at war with each other. Chancellor Rachel Reeves allegedly screamed at Starmer during Tuesday's cabinet meeting that his handling of the William crisis was destroying Labour's economic credibility. Foreign Secretary David Lammy reportedly called the situation a complete disaster during a heated phone call that staffers overheard from 2 rooms away. Defence Secretary John Healey was overheard telling allies that the government's treatment of veterans makes him ashamed to wear his party badge. His frustration is personal. Healey's father served in the RAF. Watching his own government abandon veterans while he sits powerless is eating him alive. WhatsApp groups with names like Steady the Ship and Save Our Party are plotting in real time. One group, reportedly including 15 backbench MPs, has been renamed Emergency Exit. The question isn't if they'll move against Starmer, it's when. Starmer himself looked shaken during Prime Minister's questions on Wednesday, fumbling answers, sweating under the lights. When Conservative MP Tobias Ellwood asked if the Prime Minister would meet with Prince William to discuss veteran welfare, Starmer's response was rambling and defensive. He talked about budget constraints, competing priorities, complex solutions. He never once said yes to meeting William. One Tory backbencher shouted, "Will the Prime Minister apologise to Prince William?" The chamber erupted in laughter and jeers. Starmer couldn't even finish his response. Labour MPs sat in mortified silence. Sources say he returned to his office and refused meetings for 3 hours. His political director, Emma Reynolds, later admitted to colleagues, "I've never seen him like this. He's rattled. The Labour Party isn't just divided anymore, it's collapsing from within." Veteran MP Diane Abbott told reporters, "This government has lost its moral compass, and now everyone can see it." But here's the revelation that could destroy everything Starmer has built. Leaked documents from the Home Office, obtained by the Telegraph and verified by 3 independent sources, show that the government suppressed a report on veteran homelessness for 8 months. The report, titled Service Personnel Housing Crisis, Urgent Action Required, was completed in March by the Office for Veterans Affairs. It documented that over 6,000 veterans are currently homeless across the UK. The report included devastating case studies and specific policy recommendations. If these documents are real, and if they show what whistleblowers claim, then Starmer knew about the crisis and deliberately chose to do nothing while prioritising asylum hotel contracts worth £3.2 billion. Think about what that means. The Prime Minister had the data showing thousands of veterans living on streets. He had the evidence proving the asylum system was consuming resources veterans desperately needed, and he buried it because the political optics were inconvenient. The documents allegedly show that Starmer's team debated releasing the report but decided it would undermine their immigration messaging during a sensitive period. One leaked memo from a Downing Street advisor reads, "Publishing veteran homelessness figures while defending asylum spending creates unnecessary political headaches." Unnecessary political headaches. That's how they described 6,000 homeless veterans. The optics of that would be absolutely devastating if proven true. A Prime Minister who claims to support those who served our country but hides evidence of their suffering to protect his political agenda. Conservative MP Johnny Mercer, himself a veteran, called it the most disgusting thing he's seen in politics. If Parliament launches an inquiry and these documents are authenticated, Starmer won't just lose his job, he could face formal censure or worse. Meanwhile, opposition forces are mobilising with precision and deadly effectiveness. Conservative leader Kemi Badenoch called an emergency shadow cabinet meeting Sunday night at Conservative campaign headquarters. Her message was clear and calculated. While Starmer attacks the monarchy and abandons our veterans, we will defend both. She's positioning the Tories as the party of tradition, duty, and patriotism. While Starmer looks weak and panicked, Badenoch appears strong and principled. Her recent speech at a veterans' breakfast in Portsmouth drew standing ovations. "Prince William spoke for millions of us," she declared. "The only people who disagree are sitting in Downing Street. The polls tell a remarkable story. For the first time since the election, Conservatives have pulled ahead. Latest YouGov tracking shows Tories at 34%, Labour at 31%, Reform UK at 19%. A 3-point Conservative lead represents a 12-point swing in just 10 days. In constituencies that flipped to Labour in the last election, the swing back to Conservative is even more dramatic. Some seats showing 15-point reversals. Badenoch isn't just fighting for opposition relevance anymore, she's within striking distance of forcing a vote of no confidence. And Nigel Farage, sensing blood in the water, announced Reform UK's new policy platform. Free veterans housing, mental health priority treatment, pension increases. He's stealing Labour's working-class base one disgusted voter at a time. Farage's rally in Birmingham on Saturday drew 4,006 people. Reform hasn't seen crowds like that since the Brexit referendum. The next 96 hours are absolutely critical to Britain's political future. Parliament returns from recess Monday morning. Labour backbenchers are demanding Starmer apologise publicly to Prince William and announce immediate veteran support, funding worth at least £500 million. If he refuses, at least 20 MPs are prepared to abstain on the upcoming budget vote, which would trigger a government crisis. Labour's majority is only 87 seats. 20 abstentions plus Conservative and Reform opposition means the budget fails. If he capitulates, he looks weak and controlled by the monarchy he once dismissed. Either path leads to catastrophe. Buckingham Palace has scheduled a rare joint engagement for King Charles and Prince William on Wednesday at the Royal Hospital, Chelsea. Royal observers say the symbolism is deliberate and unmistakable. The king and heir standing together with veteran Chelsea pensioners sends one message. The monarchy stands with those who served while the government abandons them. Constitutional experts are calling it the most direct royal challenge to government policy since the 1936 abdication crisis. Professor Vernon Bogdanor of King's College London said, "We are witnessing a fundamental realignment. The Crown is reasserting moral authority that Parliament has surrendered. Britain is watching its political establishment implode in real time. This crisis will be studied for decades as the moment when the monarchy remembered its purpose, while Parliament forgot its duty." At its epicenter stands Keir Starmer, who looks increasingly isolated, desperate, and politically doomed. So here's the question that matters right now. Did Prince William just end Keir Starmer's career with 15 seconds of unscripted honesty? Or did he accidentally trigger a constitutional crisis that will weaken the monarchy for generations? What do you think happens next? Does Starmer survive this? Or is Labour about to devour its own leader? Will King Charles and Prince William continue challenging the government? Or will palace advisors force them back into silence? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We read every single one. And if this story shocked you as much as it shocked us, share it with everyone who needs to see what's really happening in Westminster right now. The establishment media won't tell you the full truth about the war between Downing Street and Kensington Palace, but we will. Subscribe and hit that notification bell, because tomorrow we're revealing the leaked WhatsApp messages between Labour ministers that prove they knew this crisis was coming and did nothing to stop it. The next 48 hours will determine Britain's future.